Welcome to the Athlete Lab podcast. I'm your host, Phil Osaer. Each week we dive into the stories, habits, mindsets, and everything else that drives elite performance in sports. Today's guest is a true breakout story defined by grit and growth. From his Michigan roots to raising the Stanley Cup with Vegas Golden Knights, Paul Cotter built a career on perseverance, work ethic, and belief. In our conversation, Paul opens up on being a bit of the underdog, having to find his way, having to understand what role he could fill at different levels, and truly be able to bring something that he knows that he can do at the highest level. Paul trains at the Athlete Lab in the summer, so we're able to be around him on a daily basis. And from our conversation and seeing how he works every single day, you can tell how he's made it to the NHL and how, most importantly, he's going to stay there. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Athlete Lab podcast. Today we have Paul Cotter from Canton, Michigan, taking some time to talk to us about his career, and thanks a lot for being here, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for having me, boys.
Good. So, really interesting story. I look at where you came from, grew up in the Detroit area, and then you were sort of a mid-round pick in all these leagues, but you've really carved out a really good career for yourself so far, and you got a lot of years ahead of you. Talk me through those years, those early development years. Kids in this area, they think, I'm going to play here, then I'm going to go to the program, and then I'm going to go X, Y, and Z, and you took a path that I think a lot of people can really get excited about. So talk to me about like going to the North American League after your Tier 1 days.
Yeah, wild path. I think most people kind of have different ones besides those 1%ers that are always the best in every team, and it's just next for them. So, but yeah, after, U16 year, I didn't even have a team to play on. So it was, I think my dad met the coach at the bar and had a couple beers, got me a tryout, and kind of climbed the ladder from that year on, and had a pretty good year. Drafted late in the USHL, late in the Null. Didn't make the USHL, so went to the Null for a year. Did really well. Didn't really know. It was kind of my first year junior, so I was yapping with my mouth. I was wearing a cage because I was under 18. So, but then just kind of somehow made the jump to the USHL next year. Another one where I actually asked for a trade from Lincoln. They said no, hold on a second, and then kind of found my groove after that. Had a good rest of the year. The World Junior Summer Showcase had a pretty good showing at. Started talking to NHL teams. Same thing. And then it was Western Michigan. Didn't really fit in the best. Then London didn't really fit in the best. Kind of made the jump to pro, which was don't know how. And then so it's just been kind of each year climbing the ladder. Just keep going. Kind of put your blinders on and just work, enjoy what you're doing. But everyone's path, every guy that I talk to in dinners on the road and stuff has crazy stories. So that's one of the coolest things, just to see each person's story, and all of them are nuts.
Yeah, no, it's that you talk through. So you're in Brookings, you win every award I think you can win for a first year. I can imagine the chirps you're getting for the 21-year-old. And you're scoring all these goals and then running your mouth with the cage on you. Yeah. But, that's, you're finding success there. You go to Lincoln, you mentioned Cody Chupp was your coach, right? So Chupp was a younger coach at the time. And you said, what did you have to change about your game to sort of fit in that second half? And that's part of junior hockey, right? You're dealing with younger coaches who, they're making a career out of it. They're in a lot of ways the same situation. So was there something you had to change about your game? Was it a maturity thing? Like what did you have to do to kind of develop?
Yeah, I think it was a balance. I think on both of our sides, Trupper was great. Never had one complaint about him. He was above and beyond because he understood that the game has changed. So for me, it was more so of I just came from a 60-point season where it's like, look, I can produce. Like, I'm not on the first power play, I'm not on the second. Like, come on, like, I'm getting NHL team offers. So I kind of feel like I have the ability to do something. I want to show that, look, I can do this. Just give me the chance. I think once we kind of had that meeting, sometimes I think my play style is maybe a little looked at as nonchalant when it's not physicality. So I think that's just how it is. But once I went in there and was like, hey, look, like I want to do this. Like, take the reins here. Tell me, show me after each shift. I don't care. Just say, do this, do that. Like, I'm here to learn. I want to grow. I want to do this. And from there, it was more of like, okay, you have the tools to do everything. It's just trying to figure out when to use it. You come down with 3 guys and everybody's changing. You don't need to do the toe drag, turnover, and it's the other way, because you're not going to be on the power play if you do that. So I had to learn through that and just kind of when to use each tool at the right time. And once I kind of did that through Chopper, that's when success came. That's when he gained more trust in me. I got to go more, power play time, penalty kill, 4-on-4, 3-on-3 overtime, stuff like that. So it was just also maturing too, realizing like, all right, hey, I don't need to toe drag on a 1-on-3, but sometimes it works, which is cool. But
well, yeah, when it works, it's great.
But a balance between both of us. I think once he saw that I was hungry to get better and to grow as a player, he was like, all right, I'll give this kid a chance. So both sides, I think we did a good job together.
So you have the ability, and it's like a decision-making thing. So it's an in-game decision-making thing you have to improve on. You mentioned the toe drags of the blue line. Okay, but I know there's more stuff on that. It's how you play on the wall. There's so many little details.
Right.
But I remember watching at that time, like your skill was there. But learning that, being able to take that in-game feedback, was there something mental? Do you talk to a mental coach? Was it something, maybe a parent or other teammate that, because a lot of times you get there, you're doing so well. It's not that you feel like I got this. Don't worry about it. Just throw me out there, coach.
Right.
So was there something else you did away from the rink, or like a mentor that kind of helped you understand that, or was it just the relationship with the coaching staff there?
Yeah, it was, and granted, what I've learned is a lot of people deal with it differently. Just the game differently. Some people do, have someone that they talk to before games or after games, or do certain things to kind of calm them down or get them going. For me, at the time, it was, I think for me, I just loved the game so much, where it was like, I wasn't even looking at the next level. It was like, all right, I want to do this. Like, and so I loved like going in and saying, hey, how do I do this? Show me how to do this. I want to do it. I just loved feedback. Like I wasn't doing it to be a kiss ass. I wanted to actually play and be better at certain things and master certain crafts. And I think coaches, when they saw that, were like, all right, well, I'll tell you, like, the way I grew up with a couple different coaches, Peak, Hamilton, all these guys, they weren't afraid to yell at you. So I learned that from a young age. And, but it was great from that standpoint. And, as you get older, it becomes a little bit more of a job and a grind. And, I think that's what, I have my girlfriend Kaylee and strong family behind me to bounce things off of. And, I have a lot of guys that are in the same boat as you. So bounce it off each other, and that's pretty much it.
You touched on a couple things that I think are great. Like, first of all, you love the game. I think that is one attribute that is kind of under talked about. And the players who make it, it's because they absolutely love it. They want to do it. And the other thing you mentioned is like, you weren't worried about the next level. Right. And as quickly as you ascended from not having a 18U team, not having a team to play for, to the NHL, it's kind of like, that's a real mindset thing. Yeah. You weren't just concerned with, well, what about what's next? You were a 4th round pick in the NHL, which is a heck of an accomplishment, but you weren't like worried about, what is that? Who was in the first, second, and third rounds, So there's a lot there. And it's a great game. I love when I hear about pros who come back and they just want to get back on the ice. Yeah. It's not because they feel like they need to get better right now. It's just because they love playing. Yeah. So from a off-ice development standpoint, having seen the North American League, the USHL, junior college, like they're all a little bit different. Where did you take steps physically in the off-season, in-season training? Like, how was that to prepare you physically to play in the NHL at the age you did?
Yeah, that kind of has some background story to it. For the most part, throughout the years, it's been pretty consistent. During season, it's been really just maintaining workouts, injury prevention, maintain your strength, nothing too taxing. So from there, during the season, hasn't really changed much. Jeff Conkle with Vegas's organization, I was with him for my first year in the AHL, did a really good job. Just tweaking little things like the arches in my feet and how it affects my hip position, and like little things like that. Instead of lifting 1 million pounds, it's stuff like that he's taught me a really good job of just making sure I do throughout the season. But off season was, I think the year before I went to the Null, I was always the smallest, skinniest kid around, just trying to dance around with my hands. And one summer in here was just all of a sudden grew, 1.5 feet and 50 pounds. And it's still, all these guys still chirp me about taking away that HGH, or they're like, we know you did it. My guy, swear to God, I didn't do it. So, it was just one summer that just kind of all of a sudden popped. And then once I gained that size and strength, I still had, the ability to escape out of a hit from being that small guy, so being able to use that skill. Now it's crazy to me I'm considered like a bigger, stronger physical player. And it is the craziest thing to hear. It's like, I'd be in the car after games with my parents, like, this isn't fair. Like, why can't I just grow? It's still wild to hear. But yeah, from an off-ice perspective, always just maintaining. It was just really that one summer that was kind of pretty crazy. And then just being in here since has been amazing.
So you're training here at the Athlete Lab with Joe and his staff with 2SP, and there's a lot of pros in here, and I can see watching you guys push each other and everything. So when you hit your summer where you grew, you're training hard. Obviously, I know everyone in here trains hard. Like, what about the nutrition side of that? Like, how did you keep up with proper nutrition? You're hitting a growth spurt like that. You're working out. Like, did you seek out advice, or was it just eat as much chicken and broccoli as you possibly could?
I think that's another thing why this place is so great. Is just because of, we obviously have a lot on our plate as everybody does, but unless you are really into nutrition, I'm not really going to go in and be like, okay, I want to make sure I'm eating this and this, and making sure I'm going to buy this stuff when I have 20 other things that are on my mind, right? So now that we have a chef in here making these types of foods, I don't even need to think about it. They're just, I'm a curious person, I'd say. So, I'd try to ask for a recipe now and then, or just try and figure it out. But that is amazing. Just another little component that makes our lives that much easier. And with Joe, just everything is, all right, what's next? How do we make it easier? How do we make it better? And no, it's awesome. I think my brother is in here for the first year. I think he's dying over there, but just the way I explained it to him was everything so personalized. Like, I've been to a couple other gyms before here, and I'm not saying they weren't great, but this is, okay, from here down, it's could use a little work, let's do this and that. Like, not one other person's doing the same workout as me, which I think is awesome. It's just tuned to what you need and what you need as a hockey player, not even, just curling 50-pound weights every day. So, right. But I think this place gives anyone an edge over, any other player any other day.
Yeah, no, it's great. And you mentioned Chef Jade is out there making stuff, and it's really easy, and that's part of it. You provide something for the athletes, and they eat right after, and it's really good. And it's right. So your brother's here. Is your brother a player, or was he just to work out?
He's at Augsburg University.
Oh, okay,
in Minnesota.
Nice, so that's good. And you guys got on the ice together then too?
Yeah. He I think he took it to me a little bit last week, so put him in his place.
Might be a Stanley Cup is in the summertime. So you got to talk. First of all, you're playing in Vegas. Shootout happens. Logan Thompson, who's one of my favorite goalies in the league, he motions to the bench and calls who needs to shoot next. Walk me through that story.
That was a wild one. LT. We've been with each other for a long time throughout the years, and I think one thing that we're both passionate about, weirdly enough, is shootouts, and he's exceptional at them, and I'd like to think that I'm pretty good at them as well. And so after practice, we would always battle back and forth. And obviously as the young guy, there's a couple other guys that are going to go before me. Granted, they should. They are experienced NHL players, but we're kind of a couple rounds deep, and I think LT had a couple people in the stands that he wanted to win in front of, so he did the old 4-3, and after the game, I guess it was on social media or whatever, Bruce said he didn't even see it, but I was up next, I guess, anyways.
Somebody saw it.
Yeah, it was, so, but to have like a teammate in any fashion show that much confidence in you is pretty cool, and for it to get caught on video and for him to even do that is really cool.
And you go down there and bury.
Yeah. If I would have missed, I think he would have gotten to some.
Right. It would have been completely opposite on social media. And I don't think any coach is going to admit that the goalie's calling up the next shooter from your net, maybe short of like men's league.
That's really, exactly.
So, no, that's super cool. So you go, and then you get second day of the draft, you get the call that you got traded. That much, to me, that was one of those trades where you look at the players involved and they're like real contributing players, two teams in a little bit different spots. You'd won a cup in Vegas, like that must have been really tough, but also the opportunity, like how was that for you? You mentioned your girlfriend, your family, talk us through that.
No, it's wild. I mean, I think any trade or any move is expected to a little bit, but Vegas was my first spot. You never really think you're ever going to leave or look, like too far in advance to where that's going to happen. So once it did, I think it was great for my career in terms of just, I think that Vegas is a cup chaser, cup contender every year, and they have guys that have proven themselves, and guys that are long time established NHL players. And I mean, who am I to try and pass up these guys? Like, I don't expect to. So, go to maybe a team where I'm going to get a little bit more opportunity. And for sure, that the call to Kaylee, my girlfriend, hey, we're going to Jersey, was fun, as you can imagine. But no, I mean, but everybody's really supportive and like, all right, what's next? How do we do this together? And but it was pretty smooth, and first year went well. Had a lot more opportunity than what I was used to, and hopefully it just kind of goes up from there.
Yeah, a few guys from Canton on that team, so
yeah, I've got a couple of boys.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nice. So the development standpoint from leaving Vegas to Jersey, is there any? I know both teams are loaded with great personnel. Anything really different, and maybe how they do skill skates, how they, the skill level on both teams is exceptional, but you've got some really creative players in Jersey, and a lot of, they play a high-octane type of game. So, like, anything different you can point out?
The first thing I noticed right away was Vegas was a little bit more, how to describe it. I would have kind of totem pole, like, Mark Stone's the captain, he gets off the bus first. And then you got, Pietrangelo or Martinez with the second most games after that, and so, like, it's very, old school how it's supposed to be. If there's a bus time at, 4 o'clock, I'm on at 3:45, latest. Now I better be the first one on that bus. But Jersey is a little bit more, I don't want to say lackadaisical because that's not the right word, but I think just relaxed, I guess. Everyone knows what they need to do. Everybody's kind of even in terms of just rank, I guess. And at first when I got there, I was kind of like, whoa, like, what's going on here? Like, guys are walking in, bus at 4, it's like 4:04. Like, I'd be killed if this was me last year. But I think it's good. I think it's, it gives guys a little bit easier of a route to play the style that they want. And, granted, there's still guys on the bench that are going to give it to you if you're not playing what they think you can play, but a little bit more relaxed environment, which I think helps, a lot of the younger players. And I think it helps the team dynamic too. It gets the guys gelled a little bit more. Like, we're together as a team a lot, as a younger team, and I think that helps the team camaraderie quite a bit, and so I think it's been great for us.
That's good. Sounds like you got young players, kind of like the new age. You kind of mentioned a little bit when your time in Lincoln. Like that's all right. Everyone's evolving, so I can imagine. You can tell how you play there, how the team plays. So I got a bit of a goalie background. I got to ask, do you ever shoot in the goalie sessions for Rogie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How is he?
Yeah. He's awesome. Yeah. One of the greatest guys ever, man.
Yeah.
He's good stuff. I don't think he liked me in there too much because I'd always deke instead of shoot, but
Yeah. Watching you play, I'm surprised that you would be the type fit, but getting to know you a bit here, I can see that you probably say, yeah, I'll do it. And Rogie probably circled, you just got here, hey, you're coming to shoot.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Shoot the puck, kid.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's good. It's thinking about those dynamics that you have, and you different coaches, and like the goalie coaches are usually the friendly people, and you mentioned the strength coach and Henderson like made little small adjustments mid-season. You get to a new strength coach. How is that? How do you communicate with this new strength coach of like these things you want without coming across as, you know, somebody who's not a team guy and you don't believe in? I'm like,
right.
What did you do there?
Yeah, it's good. I think from each place I've been, it's just grabbing a couple extra things. Like, all right, this guy says to do this. I like that. It's worked for me. I'll kind of take this part. For instance, like with conks, with the feet mobility and the like arch of the foot and aligning the hips, like I've taken that and I've always done it. There's actually Corey Courtney in Lincoln that I still do his dynamic warm-up before the game by myself. And so just like each little thing. And Joe's been great as well over in Jersey, and you know, even stuff that we do here at the lab that I'll work into before practices. And so kind of like a little piece from each place you've been type thing. And you know, those guys get it too, that, you know, if you have a couple of years in your career, you obviously do certain things that you like or have certain routines, and if anything, they'll just say, hey, you know, if you want to try this as well, like, think this would be good for you. And you know, some guys incorporate it and some guys don't, but I think they do a really good job of just realizing, you know, guys have been in a lot of different places and kind of have their things, and so they're there to help. And but yeah.
And then you get back here and Joe Neal's taking all these little things, putting together a program and working you hard, so you're ready to go back to camp.
Yeah, perfect.
So when you head back to New Jersey?
I believe leaving here on the 20th of August. So coming up.
Nice. Well, hey, it's great to sit down with you for a few minutes. Good luck, and we'll be rooting for you this year.
Perfect. It works. Thank you.
Thank you.